Hello, all, and welcome to a Saturday afternoon, mid-afternoon beer review. And this thing's microphone keeps on acting up. I hate it because, like, if I don't start at the exact second the video starts, like the sound levels don't check right for some reason, and it's so annoying. And I'm going to go and dub this one the observed holiday review. So the holidays was actually yesterday, but due to the nature of my work, since I'm off on Thursday, Friday, I get to go and observe my holidays on Saturday if they fall on that day. So what better thing to do than go and review beer, especially summer beers. And what are we reviewing today? This is, again, from Foodland. I'm not sure what I'm going to do when I run out of beers to go and review from Foodland. This is 21st Amendment Brewery over there in, I believe, San Leandro, California. And this is Hell or High Watermelon. As people may remember, I was kind of impressed by the pomegranate one. This is also yet another wheat beer with the addition of watermelon. And this is a seasonal release. Probably pretty good for the weather. This was brewed in the beginning of June, so still pretty fresh. And let's go and pour this one out already. Okay, nice straw yellow with a slight hazy quality to it, with a fizzy to frothy white head. That smells of light wheaten funk, so that grainy weediness, and just a touch of watermelon. Oddly enough, it smells more like watermelon rind than actual watermelon, the flesh of the watermelon. Kind of wonder if they just chopped up the whole thing and tossed it in there like that. All in all, the nose is pretty muted. By the way, this is 4.9 ABV, so highly sessionable. Yeah, so fairly muted nose. Onto the palate now, shall we? Very light bodied, long wheaten finish. Up front is some watermelon, very light. It's about even with the wheat malts. Hopping is fairly light, just enough to provide a dryness and a very slight bitterness. But all in all, yeah. So let's start with the good. This beer is refreshing on a hot day, like today, again, 87 degrees. But it is light to the point of there not being much of anything there. So the strongest element is the wheat. It especially shows up in the mid and into the long finish, where there's a top note of that funky wheat graininess. The watermelon is very, very subtle, mostly shows up front in the palate, and just a ghost of almost like watermelon rind in the nose. And maybe a slight top note up front as well of watermelon. So what are we essentially left with here? Well, I actually really like the pomegranate one, which seemed to be much more substantial despite being at around the same ABV level. You know, it's more substantial both in the wheat and in the fruited element. This one is much lighter, perhaps due to the nature of watermelon. It's very watery. So yeah, it's probably quite difficult to add enough watermelon to go and really affect the flavor of the mash. Or wort. I can't remember what the actual beer terminology you're supposed to use for this is. So yeah, if you like light wheat beers, white wheat beers, wheat beers, light wheat beers, this might be your jam. For me, it's just a bit too light in body and in flavor. Light in body and in flavor for me to really enjoy. There's no real flaws there other than the fact that it's quite light. Refreshing in this weather, but I want a little bit more flavor intensity going on. I don't know how you would do that with watermelon, but you know, such is life. I'm not a brewer. Um, yeah, so good summer beer, kind of on the light side. And yeah, probably one of the shortest reviews I ever did, but there's really not much to write home with about this beer. Um, Probably going to have another one, though. It's good for this weather, I have to say. Hell or High Watermelon from 21st Amendment Brewery. And that, folks, is your beer review for the middle of this afternoon. Cheers.